Alrighty, we're going to get started. We want to welcome everybody to Petit Tech Talks. I am Jay Bird, the Director of Sales and Marketing, and be patient with us. This is the first one we're doing of a series this summer that'll be happening again in July and August under a couple different topics. So today's our test runs, so there may be a few bumps and bruises along the way, so just bear with us. If you could, during Scott is going to be presenting, and he's going to allow 3 question and answer periods. When that happens, or any time during, you can put your hand up in the session, or you can go to the Q&A and type it in. We will try to get to all the questions, but we do have a limited time. So if your question's not answered today, we will get back with you on it. So that way all questions are answered. And so with no further ado, the basics of overview of the HMI presented by Scott Robertson, and Jason will be helping moderate the question and answer side. So Scott, I'm going to hand things over to you. And there again, we appreciate everybody being on.
Awesome, awesome, everybody. So I think everybody at this point can see the screen here. We're going to go over that request one more time just during the presentation. We're going to have our mics muted. Again, there will be 3 different Q&A times where I'll stop, allow everybody to unmute their mics, raise their hands, or type a question in chat. Again, like Jay said, if we miss anything or you want to have some more in-depth talks, tech support or myself is available for those after and in the future. So with no waiting here, this is the human-machine interface, or what we call the HMI. That's how us squishy humans talk to the smart computers and get our information from them. So when you start up the screen, this is how everybody's screen's going to look. And we're going to go over a few things on this main page. One of the very things that we like to do here at Petit, though, is open up this what we call I/O View 2. This is Input Output View 2. This puts your inputs and outputs in a little screen here that's easy to see while navigating the other pages. So this is a very common configuration we like to use for the HMI. Now on this main page here, you're going to see a few things. So this box here, this blue box, is what's actually happening in the wash bay. So it'll show you whatever kind of wash package is loaded and what step in that wash cycle is going on. This as well here as well. This is our little kind of like our NASA Control Center. Green means go. So if the machine's ever faulted and you sign in, this is a real good way to check and make sure it's okay to put the machine back into service. All the e-stops were okay. All photo eyes are clear, meaning there's no cars in the bay. Impact sensors are okay, meaning any impact that happened in the breakaway has reset itself. And the arms are retracted to the outermost position, ready for the next car and to be reset. Then once you would hit OK, normally this would be green, OK to the pay station. I currently have that output force because this is a live site here in Barberton, Ohio, near the factory. So this is forced just so our customers don't use this site. During the wash process or testing, these right here would show the pressure being read by either pressure transducer, as well as the hertz or the speed in which your high pressure pumps might be running. Moving to the right here, your queue. So at this site, we have a queue of 6 vehicles. So as those start to stack up and the pay station produces more and more, those will populate in this area as well. And then the Petit would control the gate to manage that queue as well. From the screen, some of you may or may not know that you can add a wash into your queue or give to your customers just by clicking here and hitting enter. And it goes into your queue waiting for the vehicle. If you've ever need to modify that queue or remove vehicles from that queue, you can click on it. It opens the queue management screen. From there, we click on that $8 wash that's waiting in our queue to enter the wash. We can modify that to a better wash by clicking on the wash, modify the wash you want to change it to, and then hitting enter. We can delete a car from the queue by clicking on and hitting delete. We can insert a car. So if there was one in there, another one in there, and then we want to insert, it goes in between. So those are some options from the queue management. This is if you have a queue, but this can also be done even if you don't have a queue. let's say you're running a special or something, or you've got a customer that called your line up and he's behind the person that's paid at the pay station, you can put in one to come after that. So as that next car comes in, you can just drop, even though you don't have a queue, you could drop that other wash in there for that customer as well. If there's ever a car stuck in the programming in the bay, you can remove it from the bay here, and you can also reset the machine from here. Going back to the main screen from any screen on our HMI is achieved by clicking up here and then clicking home. So this AccuView banner is our menu that will refer to the menu, and home screen is this home screen. So now that we're back to the home screen, we've talked about the queue a little bit. We're going to talk about a few other things on this page. That includes your inside bay temperature and your outside temperature. You can see as I'm hovering over here, it's giving us a little bit more information. The outside temperature is averaged over the last minute, where the inside bay temperature is not averaged, it is a live temperature. So just keep that in mind whenever you look at those. So these are as well. Moving down here, this is the car wash rocker switch. So this is allow you to either take that out of service, put it in maintenance mode, or put it back into run. Now, if you go into maintenance and back into run, because there will be a machine movement, you're going to get this dialog right here, just saying, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Is the bay clear? Before we hit yes here, that's when we look over at our green means go NASA board here. Photo eyes are clear, impact sensors are okay, and wash arms are retracted. So I know that my machine is clear of any obstacles, so we can go ahead and home it at that time. A little bit about that homing sequence. Our machine is going to back its way off and go to the end and then park itself. We don't have any encoders here. Our machine uses the proximity switches, speed and time to put itself in the right position. As this is homing here, now we'll go down to some controls here. So on this main screen here, some controls that you might need to use in your normal daily operation, or maybe your low-level technicians as well. So that's going to be a gate. If you have one here, you can open and close it from this screen. A door can be open and closed from this screen, entrance or exit. And then bottom here is a small snippet of our alarm pages. So this is just going to be your most recent alarm sing. So right here we see that before our chemical guys, we ran a little bit low on our chemicals. We took it out of service, we put it back into service, and then that's giving us our back in service. When you're looking at these alarm screens briefly, a red is an alarm, a black is a return to normal from that alarm state. So as you can see here, the alarm was it was taken out of service. When it went back into service, we have a return to normal on that. And you can see those here. Again, on this main page, we got a couple more down here. We've got our machine reset. Again, if this machine was in a fault state, we can reset it here as well. Message box. You might have saw when we first started this webinar here, a little message box. This can be a really useful tool remotely. You've got a cleanup guy, he sees the wash out of service, he might normally put that back into service. Here, you can put your name here and kind of tell anybody who might remote in here what's going on. And then that can stay there as a little bit of a communication in case somebody would remote in and wouldn't be able to see what was actually happening. And then the last thing is the alarm history. This button here takes you to the actual full-blown alarm history. So this is going to be the complete history for the day. But then within our filter screen, we can filter what kind of alarms as well as time frames. So if we wanted to see the alarms from this entire month, you can see here we have a couple long vehicles and that plasma storm went low there. So that's a basic overview of the main screen here. For our guys that are outside North America and use the metric system, we're not making you use Fahrenheit, so you can click up here and it'll go to centigrade. I know we have a lot of units in Canada, Australia, all over the world, so we don't make you stick with Fahrenheit. We have the ability to switch that here as well. Moving on from that main page, in this section here, we want to go over our report menu. So we have two different report menus. Briefly, the free wash report menu. This is any wash that was entered using the buttons here on the home screen. So this is considered a free wash because it was entered outside of the pay station. So those are not tallied in your main report, but then they are tallied in your main report, but also tallied here as well. So you can monitor any management or technician level stuff that they're using as well. The main delivered database, delivered washes database, the main reporting for the site is going to show you your wash breakdown for the site for that current month. There's a rolling 12 months, so we can roll back here, as you can see, all the way back for 12 months. From within that, we can also break down month totals by package, and as well as the complete month totals here. You also have your lifetime total washed here at the bottom. So these are the total amount of cars on the machine. And then lastly, we have the hourly function. The hourly function allows you to choose any day that it's been done and see the actual hour by hour breakdown of each wash pass. So sometimes this can be really handy to see, hey, I might have people pushing a certain wash. Are my customers going to a certain wash? It might lead you to raise prices, lower prices, change your wash setups based on what kind of feedback you're getting by how your customers are utilizing your wash. In this section, in this subsection, we're going to talk about is users. So a lot of people, we get a couple calls from tech support about this every now and then. The computer restarted and now it says, I'm actually going to show you here real quick, log off. So up here at the top, you can see the current user is none. So because I don't have a user, if I try to do some different things, it's going to tell you don't have the rights to view this screen. If you've never changed anything, then you can log in, choose your different usernames. In this case, we're going to use owner. And if you haven't changed anything, if this is still factory default, the password is going to be the same password as the username, owner, owner, technician, technician, so on and so forth. So now I'm logged in as an owner and I have the full rights to do anything I might want to do. Now, maybe you don't want to leave those as those cookie cutter operator, operator, owner, owner, manager, manager. You want to have some level of control. To change those passwords, you go to the menu. We're going to go over to managed users. And from this point, we can create unique users. Maybe your technician's name is John. So you're going to create John. You want to give him, manager or super, not quite owner level, but manager or super level. And then you can set him up his password, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he would show up and be able to log in using his. So now John's down there. Now, if you just want to change the owner password, you could click on any existing user and change the password. You'd have to put in the current password and you can put in new. But from the factory, these are going to be manager, manager, super, super, operator, operator, and owner, owner. Again, you log in and off right here from the log on and off screen, and whatever user is currently logged in will show up here as well. And last and final thing, we're going to go over how to set up people to get alarms or reports. So again, we're on our home screen. We check our banner up here to get to our menu. We're going to go to our setup menu, and for us, we call it email. From this page, you can put in people's phone numbers or email addresses. And we have some little instructions here. So if you're using a phone number, we put the phone number with no dashes at cvzvng.biz. Emails can be normal, and you can separate and add multiple people to a line by separating them by a semicolon. We have 3 different reports or alarms that could be sent from this page. We have our wash advisories, our major faults, and our daily reporting here. Wash advisories are something from the machine has noticed something different, but it isn't enough to fault the machine. It's just something, hey, we saw something weird. You might want to check it out. The machine's still running. Major faults are kind of self-explanatory. They are major faults. The machine is down and requires at bare minimum a machine reset, but usually an inspection before the reset. Now, a fault could be a guy with a big plow truck comes in, the arms get caught on that plow truck or something like that. We break away, we reset. Once that plow truck goes and we look at the green lights here on our home screen, these will all probably be okay now at that point because he's left and we can remotely reset it. But a major fault does require a machine reset at minimum, but could require further inspections. That's the completion of the first section of it. At this point, I'd like to open it up if anybody has any questions about what we went over so far. We are going to be going over some things, so if we haven't gone over what your question's about, please wait until we go over it or at the end. But at this time, are there any questions regarding the things I've gone over so far, users, reports, alarms, and the main page? I do see Bart has his hand raised. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Bart, or if that was an accident, feel free to unmute yourself at this time and let us know.
All good, sorry.
It's okay, no problem at all. I just want to make sure. Don't see any questions in the Q&A, and I don't see any. Oh, Larry's has his hand raised. Larry, if you'd like to unmute yourself and.
Yes, so on our HMI, it's not showing any free washes. Would that be maybe because the filters are not set up, or?
So has anybody today given out any from the home screen there?
I did yesterday, actually. That's why I was checking to see if it was logged
Gotcha.
there.
So it's going to only show today, but if you go to the filters.
Oh, okay.
And then you bring up the yesterday,
Ah.
and then it would also show that as well, sir.
Got it. I didn't catch the filter, and it is there.
I
Thank
don't
you.
believe I brought it up, so I
Okay.
apologize. The free washes that when you show it first is just going to be today's, but then using the filter option, date range, you could then expand that and see other ones given at other dates and times.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Oh, no problem at all. I appreciate the question, sir.
Can you hear me?
David Ball, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, one quick question. You mentioned when you hit a plow truck that you go to machine reset. Every time we've done it, I thought it goes to maintenance, and then we just hit run. If that's the case, is it better to do the machine reset than just clicking on run after that?
No preference there, but I will let you know if the machine was faulted, like if I faulted this machine right now, it would show a red fault up here at the top. And it would still be in run here, but it would be faulted. It'd be fault, but it'd be run. And if you hit reset, it'll go. So if it's just faulted, like if this unit right here was faulted, it would be in run, but it would say car wash fault across the top. So in that case, you would either have to go to maintenance back to run, or you could just hit machine reset and it would clear the fault and reset the machine.
Gotcha, but both are functionally the same. There's not an
And
advantage to
functionally
one over the other.
equivalent, and there's no difference as far as the computer's concerned.
Perfect, thank you.
Taking a look, I don't see any questions in the Q&A, and I don't see anybody with their hands up. So if everybody's okay, I'm gonna step them to the section 2 of 3 and go over a couple different other things. Okay, so this section is going to be a little bit more regarding testing and maintenance procedures and things of that nature. So once the machine's all set up, we're washing cars, it's going to come time, whether during your normal maintenance or titration of chemicals or anything, we're going to have to play with different functions in the machines to test different things. So we're going to kind of go over what are the best ways to achieve those function tests to make sure we're not doing something wrong, so that they act the same way they do within the wash. That's going to be here. As you can see, we go to our main menu, and then we have our maintenance menu. So kind of well described there for you. And within this screen, a lot of you guys that have already have our equipment are pretty familiar with this. That's going to be the test wash passes. This screen is kind of everything you really need to do to maintain the equipment in most situations. So each one of these boxes you can see here is a one-click option to test that function. So maybe normally if you're trying to do pre-soak, you'd have to open up the pre-soak solenoid, open up the low pressure solenoid, start the low pressure pump, start the air inject. But by clicking this here, this is going to do all of those functions for you in one moment. So it's going to open up the correct valves, start the correct pump, and do all this in the correct order. Now, something to notice, we can see right now the car wash is on, but if you utilize any of these functions, it automatically puts the unit into maintenance mode. So again, using any of these test wash functions will again put the unit into maintenance mode at that time. So remember always to go back into car wash run mode, we would have to click run, kind of like David said. We'd get our "Are you sure?" and we could go back into service. Going back to that test wash screen, so going here left to right, top to bottom, pre-soak one side. So A1, B1. These are going to correspond directly to your FDM. Pre-soak 2, A2, B2. In this case, at this site, our A3 is using our wheel applicator. B3 is the foam waterfall. High pressure top, high pressure sides, high pressure top A5, and our triple foam is always hard coated as the B5. Again, clicking any one of these will start the appropriate things, put it into maintenance mode, and multiple of these can be run at the same time. So I can start it just like I would. The sides would come on for the car. Here's our top, and maybe we're running triple foam at the same time. So again, we can test multiple things at the same time. You'll notice here that as soon as we started our testing, an automatic 5-minute timer came down. So if you're doing anything and you lose connection or get knocked off the ladder, something happens, everything is going to stop after that 5-minute timer. Again, we can shut anything off individually, or we can stop all testing by clicking this button here to the right. Again, so we have a timer that automatically stops, one stop for all, or individual as well. Moving down some of these, so we have our high pressure top, high pressure sides plus our tall vehicle, underbody. These are going to be our high pressure functions right here. So it's important again to use these because they will open all the appropriate valves. But these functions are going to go, so if I click underbody right now, it's going to run the side pump at whatever speed is set here in the manual speed section. So these boxes right here are current PSI, current run speeds, and the manual speed in which we want to test. The recommended speeds for these tests are listed below. So for a top test, we would want to use 53 Hertz on our standard machine and 60 Hertz on our extra tall machine. For our side, 48 Hertz. For our side, including the tall vehicle, 60. And our underbody in most cases might be 25, but you might be running additional trees or something like that. So we would recommend you run your underbody at whatever speed it's set to. And we're going to reference how to do that here shortly. And then a couple things, we can test our dryers here, our spot-free repressurization as well. Now, we're doing some testing, but we don't want to bother the owner with all the alarms because maybe we've got something going on and we're doing some testing and we don't want the owner getting his phone blown up. So we can turn off low pressure alarms, but we can also turn off the alarms completely here so that no alarms will go out during testing. This can be really beneficial for managers and owners while technicians are working on the vehicle. So if you care about the sanity of your boss, maybe click this one down every now and then. From the screen, we can also rotate the arms for testing and for maintenance as well, and run our oscillators here with the different speeds as well. These bottom boxes here are some different testing we can do. So this photo eye test, at the end of every wash, we do a photo eye test. Our high quality banner photo eyes have the ability to actually be shorted out and then turned back on as part of their functionality. So we can actually do a full test of our photo eyes. So at the end of every wash, we do a test. What happens is we're looking for clear. So we're seeing that emitter shine through to a receiver, clear. We turn off the emitter, go dark, turn the emitter back on. So in order to pass this test, we must see clear, dark, clear. And you can actually see this real quickly. If you look at these green boxes here, when I do this test, you're going to see those green boxes go away and then come back. And then we've got a fully passed test. So now what this is going to tell you is if you have a failure, this tells you that, hey, we did not see a clear, dark, clear transition. We might have an emitter that's stuck on. We might have a receiver that's stuck, has a shorted core set that's showing clear all the time. But this will tell you, hey, we got to look at one of these photo eyes to see what's going on. Impact sensors are the same way. Unfortunately, this does require some interaction. So you'd hit the start test function. You'd go out into the bay and you'd actually break the breakaway in every direction. And you would see 4 greens here for a passing at that as well. That should be done something that's done either weekly or monthly as part of your normal maintenance procedures. Give me a quick second here. Also, part of your input and output. So we talked about here where we've got, this is going to open up many outputs and different things. Well, if we need to actually work on any individual inputs or any individual outputs, we can do that from the input and override screen. So again, we're going to go to input overrides. This will pull up all of our inputs. And from there, we can actually force them clear and blocked as a way to test them as well, to make sure that we're seeing everything on the card as well. Same thing from the output screen. We've got an output override here. It's going to be multiple pages. It has every single output, force on, force off, or auto, a clear all button at every page. And they're also color coded here for you as well. So up here, if it's a green, that means this is a chemical. If it's blue, it's water. Purple is air, and yellow is signs. These white ones are just general outputs, as you can see, gate, doors, things of that much. So again, we have multiple pages here. So we're going to have some outputs in order here. And then the last page is where we're actually be able to move the machine, whether it's the bridge, driver's side trolley, passenger side trolley. We put those into manual in order to move them, retract or extend, and then the speed in which they would be moving at is down here. This can be very useful to check and see if your Modbus is working as well. Again, down here, we can run our pumps and our oscillators again, the same way we could from the test wash pass screen before as well, by running them here and here. We kind of already went over the alarms and those things as well, so we're not going to go over them as well. Some other things here in the maintenance menu, most of these aren't, I'll be honest with you, aren't going to be very used. They're high level diagnostic, but very rare in that is as well. But another one you might hear is the maintenance wash. This is where you have the ability to do a wet wash, no vehicle. So you can actually watch the machine wash a fake Mini Cooper, basically is what it does. This is very helpful if you're trying to see leaks that you can't actually figure out by normal testing, where you just put the machine, wet wash, no vehicle, you click start, and it'll start pretending to wash an invisible car. Same thing with dry wash, no vehicle, except this time it's not going to spray any water or chemical. And then lastly is a dry wash with the vehicle. You could park a car in there and squirt, not squirt any water or chemical. This is to make sure maybe your photo eyes aren't, you know, making the vehicle impact or anything like that. So these are some different things. In order to run any of these maintenance washes, the car wash does need to be in the on position. So again, we would need to be running, and then we can go click here and click enter, and it will actually run. And I can actually do that here as we speak, just to give you an example. While I get this plugged in, this would be normally about the completion of my second time. I'm going to leave a little bit more time for questions here because there might be more questions than the first subcategory. So at this time, if you would like, while we're watching this, feel free to chime in with any questions at this time. I must have worked with a lot of you guys already because there's no questions, so that's good. I'm talking about things you already know. Hopefully I'll get to a couple things you don't know so that we make this worth it for you. The next part is probably the part that most people want to get. We're going to kind of talk about wash packages, speeds, timers, and how to back up the settings once we get everything the way we like it. So as you can see now, we are running that test wash right now. So it's going through all the different parts of the car. It's pretending to wash a car right now, and it's going through everything. So we would be able to see pressures at this time. We'd be able to see chemical flows if you have our chemical monitor at this time. We'd be able to watch things as it goes, but we can also watch it here remotely as it's transitioning through the different parts of the wash. All right, so the next thing is the setup menu. So this traditionally is full of things that are set up initially on install and startup, and are only messed with whenever we're making changes, maybe to our menu, maybe we're making changes to our wash packages, or maybe we're making changes based seasonally. So from here, again, a lot of things aren't going to be used, but I do want to go over a few things here. The building and equipment monitor. This is a feature of the Petit that we believe is severely underused. I believe the two #1 features of the Petit, besides its reliability and being fast, is the queue function. You know, we're one of the few car wash equipment manufacturers that actually manages the queue ourselves. So this allows a customer using a Wash Select 2 or a Hamilton Gold Line that has no modern queue functions to actually queue multiple cars past the gate because the Petit equipment controls that queue. The second most underutilized function of the Petit equipment is these built-in equipment monitors. So we have 10 inputs that are designated just for you to monitor any piece of auxiliary equipment in your car wash or on your property. So anywhere we can monitor a closed signal, meaning it may be a fault relay signal on a door drive or a changer fault on a changer or anything like that. Anywhere we can monitor a signal, we can monitor that with the car wash here and also alarm you if those issues happen. So going through some quick examples here. On our first one here, we have our trough tab. So every Petit that got sold, we included a little white sensor that is a freeze sensor. That means if it's above 34 degrees, we have connection. If it goes below 34 degrees, we break the connection. So this can be in an equipment room. It could be in an attic where the trough is and we have chemicals line. But we put this sensor in here. We bring 24 positive out to the sensor and then back from that sensor to 1024, this input here, we're monitoring that sensor. So when we see that alarm signal go off for 5 seconds, we give an alarm, trough temperature low. When we see that signal come back on for 60 seconds, we would send an alarm message, return to normal, trough temperature low. 3-phase monitor is a very common option for our equipment. This can be wired directly into our control panel and again alert you to brownout situations. Brownout situations can be very dangerous to our equipment because you're only losing one leg, and it seems like what always happens is you don't lose the leg that's got the 110 signs on it. So all your signage and lights still going good, your pay station's still running and taking money, but then all of a sudden when it goes to that car wash card enter and pumps to start turning on, 3-phase equipment starts failing, VFDs start tripping, and ultimately your air compressor could start to brown single phase. So it can be very costly to mechanical equipment, but it can also be very costly for you as a customer for your customer service, where if you get this fault, 3-phase power fault, you jump in, you take the unit out of service until you can get that either returned to normal from that brownout, or you get down there to check out what's going on. Hot water temperature, okay. All of our equipment comes, it's not an extra add-on. We send a little blue sensor, little pigtail on it. And what that is same with the trough temperature. It's a piece of bimetal that will break if it's below 74 degrees and it makes connection above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we monitor that by placing that right on our hot water source. And if our hot water boiler were to fail, circulating pump, whatever it might be, we could be indicated that we're not getting hot water. Spot-free TDS. This is a common option that we do sell here at Petit to monitor all RO production units monitor the water they're sending into the tank. But what happens is, did we get pre-soak into that? What happened to that tank once it got into the tank? Our TDS monitor is monitoring the TDS coming out of the tank. So it's a second check to say, hey, the water that's going on the car is where it's supposed to be, sub 40 parts per million. So if you were utilizing ours or any other TDS monitor, that's where this can come in here as well. We do provide a little air or water pressure sensor to all 360 Petits, so that can be utilized to either monitor your water system pressure of your site or your air pressure of your site. Also, we can monitor, again, like I was saying before, entrance and exit door controls here. Air compressor runtime by going to your air compressor start contactors and back. Every time those contactors turn on, we see the signal. If we see that signal running for more than 600 seconds or 10 minutes, you most likely have a leak and your air compressor is continuing to run. Now, these are the ones that come predetermined in the machine because they're the most common. However, every single one of these will be customizable. So you can type anything you want in here. You can change whether you alarm on or off. You can change the delay. You can change the return delay. And then you can change the message that is actually sent to your phone or email when this alarm is triggered. So this is a very underutilized. This is just another way, though, you could have one thing monitoring so many different pieces of equipment within your property, and it just allows you to stay away from the wash more and not having to worry, oh, do I got water on the floor? Do I got an air hose leak and those kind of things? The next thing is everybody likes to talk about is wash packages, speeds, and timers. I'm going to start with wash packages. We're most likely going to have a secondary presentation on this a little bit more specifically, but I wanted to go over some general things here as well. All of our wash packages always end on a spot free. So if spot free is chosen, the machine automatically gets rid of the different options. However, if I take this to something else, I don't want to do it on this one, I'm going to go to one we're not using. If I change that spot free to something else, it will open up all the other options until you choose spot free. Spot free is always the last pass on a Petit, and it will always complete your wash configuration. That being said, basically, if it's an option on the drop-down menu, it's an option to be ran at that time. So for this first pass, these are the options that could be ran as a first pass. You're going to notice, there's not a whole lot of options here, whereas you go down more and more, you start to get more and more options at where they are. Because again, there should be only so many things being applied on the first pass. But you will notice here just some examples. We have our pre-soak, but we can run pre-soak and triple foam together. We could run pre-soak 2 alone. We can run pre-soak with triple foam together. We can run water foam and waterfall and triple foam together. So there are some combinations that can be ran as well to help give you your desired result. This high pressure here, most situations you want to avoid that because we all know we don't want to dilute the car for the water, but we do have our equipment in some really high areas where they're like mines and quarries where you can't tell it's a blue truck because there's so much gray mud on it. We got to get that mud off so we can get this pre-soak to it. So very, very rarely, I would say less than 5 customers out there utilize a high pressure water first. It is not recommended. It is only if you got to get the mud off in order to get to it. Again, going briefly through these, you have dwell time that can be added here. So this is where the machine would stop at the back of the car, dwell at rear of the car for however many seconds we put in here. Dwell at the front of the car, and then dwell again at the rear. Traditionally, the reason we only have dwell time available for these, by the third pass, we've traditionally moved beyond our pre-soak and cleaning where the dwell time is needed, and we're utilizing the speed of the machine for time after that. So you'll notice there is not any dwell time beyond pass 3, because traditionally by pass 3, all of our pre-soak and those things that need dwell time have been applied at that time. And then we break it down with the different passes. Coming down here into some of these check boxes you guys have seen, but maybe not known what they're about. So very common when we're retrofitting a machine, you might see them where they've got on their menu already, I've got this bug pass or bug, whatever it is, bugs across the front of the car. So what we do here is you have this slow front, slow rear, slow front, slow rear. I'm going to jump real quick to our speed pages to reference what do these boxes mean. So when I click slow front, what am I doing? Well, if we go to our menu, setup, and our speed page here, you'll notice that we have a lot of different options, and some of them are referred to as slow. Okay, so if you are normal pre-soak, the pre-soak machine's going to be moving at 1.25 feet per second. If I were to check that slow box for the front of the car or the rear of the car or both, depending on which box I check, it would revert to this speed here. These speeds are not hard-coded. They can be changed, and a little explanation on what the minimum and maximums are right here. So again, when we refer to slow, we're referring to another speed option here that you can choose. So you set the speed on the speed page, and then you configure it with the wash package speed. And you'll see that's on pre-soak 1, pre-soak 2, high pressure, and spot free all have a slow option, and that's reflected on the wash package screen. Going back to that screen, again, we see that slow front, slow rear, pre-soak 2, slow front, slow rear, high pressure, slow front, slow rear, slow all. And then we see super. Now, super is a little different. Everybody thinks they want super, but I want to remind everybody it is a lot more intensive on the rod ends and stuff like that. But what super is, normally the machine is set to hit every spot on the car twice during our oscillation pattern. So if you change your speed of your wash package, your wash pre-soak here to 1.5, it's automatically going to apply a formula to the oscillator speed to speed that up or slow it down to hit every spot on the car twice, no matter what speed the machine is moving. When we engage super cleaning in the high pressure, and you'll notice it's only in the high pressure, There is a limitation on how fast the machine can go because we're going to try to hit every spot 4 times. So now those oscillators are really cooking and they only have so much speed they can do. So we have to slow the machine down and there's a limit on how fast it can go. So where do I see super being used? I see super being used again for those customers that might have a bug prep or a bug blaster setting on their menu. Then you put this slow front or slow rear, super slow, super rear, in order to get a much better hit on those front based on the product you're selling on your menu. Other things down here that you could turn on and off for wash packages include obviously the underbody, UB. Rust inhibitor, this is, you could use one of our high pressure injections to inject a rust inhibitor product into the underbody and during the spray. That's a very common upsell for a lot of our snow belt areas. Again, for the spot free pass, we have our slow all function. Again, we can either, maybe for the highest end spot free, we slow the spot free pass down to rinse everything off because maybe we've applied another wax that we need to get off or whatever it might be. Tire shine, this is a function that technically is in there. There was a long time ago, a guy wanted to put a tire shine machine in his dryers on an in bay and realized very quickly he had no control over the speed in which cars went through. So it's technically in there, not recommended for anybody. Dryers are pretty self-explanatory. And then lastly here is the rocker blaster. So you might, some of you that have our equipment might be familiar with our chemical tire applicators, our low pressure CTAs. Most of our customers are utilizing this as a rocker, meaning instead of using a treadle pad or a photo eye to try to hit the tire, it's just applying that down the entire side of the car, which is one of the most harder areas and one of the areas we usually would prep if we were in a tunnel application. So this would be where I would click that, and now those CTAs would be applying that all the way down. Now, if you are using a treadle pad or a photo eye and just hitting the tire, you would have set that up here on the wheel applicator, and this box would not be checked in order to use it the entire rocker panel. And then back on our wash package screen, this would now, instead of say rocker, it would say wheel. As you can see that change here. I'm going to put that back for this application because this is a live wash. So we talk about our wash package here. So we got our different wash package setups here. Pretty self-explanatory there. Definitely going to be a future training about how do we set these up and why. Why 4, why 6, why not 8, why not 5, whatever it might be. I think that's coming up in August. We're going to talk about that. But for right now, the basics of it are as it is. And then if you have a weird pay station or something and the relays have got figured out, and now all of a sudden wash package 1 is not relay 1, you can select the different relays up here as well. And then up here where it says enabled, if you don't have the checkbox there, it will not show up on your home screen. So you notice we have 4 plus this blank one. That can be reflective because we have 4 enabled on this first page, and on the second page, only this one is enabled. Now that I disable it, go back to home, and you'll see that is no longer showing up here. So sometimes when you're doing testing, you'll pop that in and out, but you don't want it there all the time, or your technician or your attendants might get that away. So now we've got our wash packages set up. We got our speed set up. The next thing we're going to look at is timers. So we got our speed set up. We love how the machine's running. We got our wash packages set up. We love how the machine's running. But now we're getting to the timers. Probably the most confusing part of the machine. You'll notice that I'm dumping pre-soak on the front of the car, or the triple foam's coming on a little bit far down the car. So what we always tell you is don't look at it as a whole. Look at it as an individual application. So pre-soak side is different from pre-soak top. Pre-soak 1 is different from pre-soak 2. Triple foam different from water. Everything is unique. So if I'm looking at a wash and I'm saying, oh, it looks like the pre-soak came on the sides about 2 seconds early, and on the top it was 2 seconds late, let's say. So the sides was early. So we go adjust side timers. If chemical is late, add time. So if chemical is early, we would subtract time. So if I'm 2 seconds early, I would take this down to 10 to compensate for that. Don't ever try to do it as an aggregate. Think of it as each individual one, and then they'll all come together to work together. We said again that the top was late. It was 2 seconds late. So adjust timer. If chemical is early, add time. If chemical is late, it would be the opposite, subtract time. So if you kind of think of these each as individual applications and treat them each one, and basically just write down on a paper, pre-soak 2 seconds early, pre-soak 2 seconds late, triple foam 1 second. and then go and follow these instructions and make those changes. Again, if you never touch this, the machine's going to run fine. You're going to waste a little bit of pre-soak, a little bit of water here and there, those kind of things. The machine is set up from the factory that if you don't trust these, it's going to work great. But for those people that we're trying to trim that down, we can save seconds here, we can save time, we can save chemical, we can save water by tuning these in. But like anything you're used to tuning a carburetor on your old hot rod, don't go too far. Make 2 changes to get where you want instead of going too far, because sometimes they compound on each other and it's hard to figure out which one you need to change to get it right again. So during that, we've got all those things set up now. We're loving how the machine's running. It's time to save these because we don't want to do it again if something happens. So there's 2 places you can save the settings of this machine. The first one is the backup and restore settings. So this is going to restore, backup or restore all the setup menu items. So these are going to be your phone numbers, your emails, your different configurations for different things. Those get backed up here. You click back up, confirm, it would back it up. And if you needed to restore it, you click restore, confirm, and it would restore those settings. Then some of you may have heard Jason, myself, anybody talk about what we call recipes. There are 4 recipes that can be used. We're going to break down into more of those at a future thing because we're running out of time. But I want to briefly say these recipe saves are saving the speeds we talked about and the wash packages. So maybe we call it easy, normal, tough, low spot, free mode, but maybe you're summer, winter, fast, slow, and you've got a bunch of dwell time and slow the machine down during pollen or hard to clean summer times. But if those of you in the snow belt to know we're just trying to get salt off, you might speed the machine up in speed, kill that dwell time to get your throughput up. Well, you don't want to keep making those changes, have a cheat sheet hanging on a pegboard somewhere. You basically set the machine up you want, back it up. Set the machine up the way you want, back it up under a different one, and then you can one-click restore your speeds and wash packages back in that fast. So this can be really good once you dial in the chemicals and dial it in, but then your busy days come and you're like, I need to be able to speed up, sneak an extra car. Those busy days, they saw the line. They're usually okay if you speed the machine up, kill a little bit of dwell time, and you can just one-click it. So you could change this multiple times during the day, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be. These are one-click restores. That being said, again, I'm going to have some more in-depth future about this in the future, but I think right now we gave an overview of a lot of the functions you guys might need to use on your daily basis. That being said, we do have a couple minutes before Jason wraps it up. If there are any questions, concerns, ideas, feedback, I'd love to have them now before we finish up. It looks like Dave's got his hand raised. So what do we got to talk about, Dave?
Hey Scott, on those the cleaning stuff, can you put those on timers?
Well, when you said timers, the recipes?
Yeah. Well, like the past there's if you know your busiest parts of the day are 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Can you go and basically tell the wash to go ahead and speed up during those couple of hours so you don't have to remember that?
Yeah, that's a really good idea, and I'm actually making a note of that as we speak. That is not a current functionality of the equipment, but I'm part of the research and development team with Tom. I see huge value in that. Never would have thought about that. We have thought about doing something similar to that with almost like dryers as well, because at nighttime you need to turn off the dryer. So we do have that functionality built in, but I do see what you're talking about, and I'm actually going to write that down for our future research and development. But currently, I apologize, Dave, that functionality does not currently exist.
We got a question from Jim Baker here. Jim, if you want to unmute yourself. Or you might have dropped off. Let me
Raymond, would you like to chime in and ask your question?
No question. Just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you and your team for doing this. From my perspective, it's assuring and comforting knowing that we made the decision to buy Petits and continuing to buy more and again, just a big thank you. It's a great product that you guys offer. and the support and service you guys offer is just as good.
Hey, Raymond, I really appreciate the feedback, and I really appreciate it. Hopefully I'll get better as this goes. I'm not the most camera friendly, and normally these kind of things. Some of you guys have trained with me in the past. I'm a lot better in person, but I think I'm getting better at this, so we'll get there. But no, I really do appreciate that feedback, Raymond. I really appreciate that you feel that way.
Absolutely.
Looks like Jim got his mic working. Do you have a question?
I
Jim?
did. Scott, when we have like the activation days, you said we could change the prices just for like a 4-hour time or an 8-hour time. Is that correct? For that special month?
Unfortunately, pricing would be done by the pay station. We don't.
Pay station. Okay.
Yeah, so fortunately from pricing standpoint, but if you had the wash packages saved, you could make that one-click change. So you'd sign in your pay station, click the price change, sign in the Petit, click the recipe, and now you're to those different products if you like.
Okay. And I second that too. It's very helpful going through this. So thanks for your time.
Hey, no problem. And again, a lot of you guys do know me. So if any of this caught any ideas or questions that we don't get to, or that you're like, I didn't want to do it in this setting, please either reach out to our technical support team, either by phone or email, techsupport@PetitAutoWash.com, or you can reach out to myself directly if we've done that in the past. So whichever you're more comfortable with, feel free to reach out in the future. Looks like Larry had a question, and then Dawn had a question. So Larry, if you'd like to go first.
Yes, I'll definitely third those sentiments that was recently spoken. Great product. Appreciate this. I assume we'll get a link to the July and August.
Absolutely.
Meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to get the links out there. And then ultimately, once we get our ducks in a row here, the goal would be, and actually probably not going to be this one, but because I forgot to hit record, but maybe one of my team members did. But the goal would be we recorded this and send a link out in a future publication as well, so that people that didn't come, or even people that did come, can go back, watch it again.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Fantastic. And then I think Dawn, did I see Dawn?
Hey, Scott.
How you doing, Dawn?
Hey, I'm good. Hayden and I are listening, and I didn't mean to raise my hand.
It's okay.
I'm not sure how I did that,
All
but
good.
thanks for going through this and giving us a reminder of the basics on this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, Dawn. And I think I got one more hand up. Christopher, did you have a question? You are muted, Christopher, if you do have a question.
Okay, hello?
Yes, sir. Can hear you, sir.
Hey, yeah, hi. I just had a quick question. So, you know when you save the recipes,
Yes, sir.
does it save the speed config also?
Yes, sir. So when we're saving the recipes, we are saving just these two right here, just the speeds and the wash packages. Everything else is saved up under the backup and restore option. So
Okay, got it.
Two different ones. So the recipes are just speeds and packages. Backup and restore is all your setup items.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
I've got one more from Jeff. Jeff, if you'd like to unmute and jump in and ask your question.
Yeah, thanks for having the meetings today. It definitely has been helpful. I had a question on the building monitor piece of it. You said there was 10 monitors built in. So how do we determine if we are utilizing them? I mean, I know we can look at the on off, but do we need to physically like go track down some wires? Like you talked about a couple wires.
Yeah, so ultimately you'd want to see, you go to your menu here, you go down to the alarm, building equipment monitoring. If they're enabled, most likely they're in use. So what happens is if you look over here in the bottom right, everybody here, you'll see when I disable it, it goes away. And then you're also seeing that signal as well. So from your screen, you'd want to look and see if we're enabled here, and then if we're getting any of these signals. So this will kind of tell you if we're getting the signals, because most alarms are going to be set as good signal is good, lack of signal is bad. So you can kind of see here, other than the air compressor run, green means go for me. If I lost any of these signals, that would be a fault. So you should be able to see those inputs here and also any descriptors here. So if you don't see any inputs or descriptors, you're most likely not utilizing them.
Okay, just to follow up on that. So is the air compressor specifically, are you monitoring that somewhere in the line that we can just turn on?
No, sir.
Or
The way
so that's a
works-
physical.
Yeah, so it's part of our schematics. If you ever want to reference these, we do have a page on the schematics that explains how these different works. And I might in a future training bring up that schematics and show you. But we do in our schematics, one of the last pages explains how all these sensors work. But for the air compressor running, all air compressors have a starter switch that runs off the air. So when air drops, it closes. Those almost always have an auxiliary set of contacts that isn't used. So what you do is you run R24 positive into one side. In this case, it is 1062 on the other side. So when we close your air compressors running, this would go on green, and depending on the timer set point here is if it would fall or not. So there, for the alarm air compressor running signal, you tie into the air compressor starter air pressure switch.
And that's also, some of these were options, correct, Scott?
Some of these are included, some of these are options that can be bought, and some of them are just techniques with wires.
It's wired, yeah.
With a piece of equipment. Yes, sir.
It's capable, they have to wire it in.
Correct, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it looks like everybody got their questions out.
I have a question
please.
about the brownout.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So how does that work? And do they get a message or?
So, yeah, a brownout, for those who don't know, is three-phase power. If you lose any one or two legs, but not all three. A blackout is all three. A brownout would be single phasing, losing one of your three phases. If that happened and you had the three-phase monitor equipment installed, that three-phase monitor detects any low voltage, high voltage, or any phase loss. When that monitor detected it, it would change its state, and you would get an alarm via the same alarms, email, or phone that you did your other alarms.
And what would you want to do? Because you mentioned about damaging. What would you want to do if you did get those?
First thing you would ever want to do if you got a power problem like this, a three-phase monitor fault, is put the unit in maintenance.
Okay.
You don't want a customer possibly buying a wash because, again, all your 110 stuff, which is your pay station, the lights and everything, those are going to be on one of those three phases. So there is a very large possibility that you lose the phase that isn't controlling all those other equipment, so they can still pay, doors will open, all those other things will happen because they're on the other phase. So you always want to put it in maintenance until you get that confirmation that you'll have all three phases back, then put it in to run.
Okay, is there anything else one should do to protect the equipment if that's happening, if they're having some issues?
So we protect our equipment very well because everything's VFD controlled.
Okay.
Your motor starter equipment's where you're going to have problems. Air compressors,
Got it.
some other repressurization pumps, anything that's on a motor starter is going to have a problem. Our VFDs are already going to protect themselves from phase loss.
Got it. Very good. Appreciate that. We
got
got another.
benefit of being a completely VFD situation. We got a couple quick minutes, guys. I did see two people jump up. I'm going to get James real quick if you can, and then Jeff. You might see people start jumping out of here, but we can reach out afterwards as well. So James, real quick.
Mine might be just a little too deep in the weeds for this
That's okay.
conversation, but you were going over the sensor inputs and things like that, but I got a question. Can it receive from a computer inputs? Like, say, for instance, I've got a Raspberry Pi running sensors all over the place. Can I send a signal to the Petit to let it know that, oh, this sensor's down, this sensor's detected something, or is that again too deep in the weeds?
No, you're right, but you're very close. One quick caveat: all inputs on a Petit are R24 positive, internal. So all you would need to do is have a dry set of contacts that Raspberry Pi closes.
Yeah.
To route our signal. So yes, the answer is yes, and then you could change anything you wanted within here and say Raspberry Pi or photoelectric sensor, whatever it is, and change it and then make it say you want. So yes, the answer is yes, but you have to use R24 positive, so you'd have to feed that way.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem, sir. And then one last one. It looks like they're all good. Well, guys.
Yep. Well, I just had a quick question to follow up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On the back on that monitoring part, on the left side where it has the EN, is that a checkbox that you have to say if I'm using it or not?
Yep. So that's the enable. So if I uncheck it, you'll notice it goes away over here, and it also will not alarm if the fault changes.
apologize. I was looking at my screen. Okay, so there is a checkbox. Yeah, because I've got no checkboxes on the enable, but I've got on and offs all the way
Yeah,
down the
well,
line.
Jeff, I'll probably jump in with you maybe tomorrow, and we'll kind of go over
Okay.
those one-on-one, okay?
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. Hey, I really appreciate everybody's time. Really, I know even in a small an hour, it's hard to get time to do these kind of things. So really appreciate everybody's time. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to let myself, the sales team, Jason, Techno Sport, let any of us know about what you thought, what we should do more about. And I'll let Jason kind of wrap it up. But other than that, I want to thank everybody for coming.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Not much else more to say, Scott. This was epic. So really well done. I think we did good for our first time. Yes. Any questions for anything tech related? Tech support at PetitAutoWash.com. Anything sales related? Sales1 at PetitAutoWash.com. And something I just thought about. We have a lot of raving fans, and a lot of you here are that. If you could throw us a rating on Google or Facebook, and anything happens on the message boards, if you could throw us a plug, it means more than you know. The way we try to market is not spending much on marketing. The more we try to market is real world experience from all of you. So just like that one idea, Dave, that was an epic idea about that was a really good idea. It takes us time, but we still want to know your ideas. Some are possible, some aren't, but we're a continual improvement company. So we're always listening. Be patient with us, but great input. Thank you guys for everything you do. You're the reason we exist. And thanks again. We appreciate it.